Thank you. There is no truth to the rumor that I'm going to be Howard's lieutenant governor. Sorry about that. Listen, we got a little bit of an early spring happening here in New York. We're not used to warm weather. We're used to winter. So the building is not as cool as we'd like it to be tonight. So if it gets any hotter, just everybody sort of pick up their napkins and just start waving them in the air. Maybe that'll cool us off a little bit. I apologize for the temperature. Things are, however, going to get much hotter. Is this a cool group of people that I got up here for you tonight? God, I'm so excited about this show. One of the things that we do within their own words is look for chemistry. The way we book these shows, which we've been doing now for almost 4 years. This May will be the 4th anniversary of these shows. We've done 29. In May, we will have done 30 of these shows. One of the things that we look for in booking the show, in getting our guests, is a kind of chemistry, a kind of symmetry, a kind of symbiotic relationship between the artists that may not be apparent on the surface, but is something that I always have in the back of my mind as I and as Alan Pepper, as we try and put these shows together. This is one of those real chemistry shows tonight. As a matter of fact, it is because both John Cale and Joan Baez at separate times said they were interested in doing In Their Own Words show that we're here all together tonight, because I finally woke up one day and said, John Cale, Joan Baez, together would be like a really cool show. And then it just grew, it just blossomed from there with Natalie and Gordon Gano. And I think we do have a kind of neat symmetry tonight. Cale and Baez having come of age musically in the 1960s, both of them born during World War II. And when they came of age during the 60s, came of age at opposite ends of the musical spectrum. Gordon and Natalie, both of their bands began in the early 80s, virtually 20 years after Joan and John started working. So we've got a neat kind of cross-generational thing here tonight, as well as a nice kind of symmetry. For those of you who have never been to an In Their Own Words program before, this is an evening of music and conversation. We do talk. I sort of get to play the part of the ultimate fan. I get to ask questions and kind of guide and lead everybody else through an evening that is unrehearsed, that is not scripted. I don't have much of an idea of where we're going to go tonight, and neither do these four very wonderful performers. You are privileged to be here this evening, and thank you for coming. Please welcome to In Their Own Words for the 20th anniversary of The Bottom Line, in alphabetical order, Joan Baez, John Cale, Gordon Gano, and Natalie Merchant. Probably not necessary for me to do this, but it's Joan, Gordon, Natalie, and John, just in case. Gordon Gano was born here in New York City. He grew up during his early years in Connecticut, then the family moved to Wisconsin, where in the early 80s he joined forces with Brian Ritchie and Victor DiLorenzo, started playing in Milwaukee, a very quirky brand of rock and roll, the three of them, the Violent Femmes. Part of the Femmes' very unique charm was that, sort of like Boston's Modern Lovers, they were using mostly acoustic instruments and very sparse arrangements to accompany some very intense personal songs of passion and maladjustment and stuff like that. Songs that fused punk and folk and country and gospel and blues and rock into a distinctly American music. Arriving as they did at the tail end of the punk movement, the Violent Femmes quickly became the darlings of the 80s, sort of alternative, underground college scene. Releasing 5 albums from 83 to 91, and then last year doing a compilation album. They have finished recording a new album. It will be out later this spring. It will be called New Times, and it's coming out on new label. It will be on Elektra this spring. Gordon, of course, is their principal songwriter and vocalist. His songs are, as you well know, offbeat, humorous, honest, painful, and celebratory. His is a very distinctive voice. We're thrilled to have him here with us tonight. Please welcome Roger.
I'm gonna do a really big songwriter show. I'm gonna tell all the people there everything I know. I'm gonna tell them all how to write a really good song, and then I'll pick up the guitar and I'll chord along. Cause that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes when you're doing the circuit of songwriter shows. Intro and outro and modulation too. These may be new terms for you. These are the tools of our trade, and the most important thing is make sure you get paid. I'm gonna do a really big songwriter show. I'm gonna sit on a panel so everybody know that we know how to write a really good song. Natalie and Joan and Gordon and John. Hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes when you're doing the circuit of songwriter shows. Oh, structure and form is what we do. But did you make it up or is it really you? It's universal from New York to Woodbridge. But what this song needs now is a really good bridge. I'm gonna do a really big songwriter show. And the critics will come and they'll let everybody know that Gano is stupid and he's arrogant too. And he is not worth listening to. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes when you're doing the circuit of songwriter shows.
Well, cool. That's a great way to get started. Well, around the same time that the Violent Femmes were getting together out in the Midwest, 10,000 Maniacs were starting upstate New York in Jamestown. Natalie Merchant was 17 years old when she joined those musicians and formed 10,000 Maniacs. They started out as a reggae cover band, which is something maybe we'll get to talk about. Natalie alone and with various other members of the band has written a whole wonderful body of highly literate songs that come from a very eclectic mix of influences, not only that reggae, but of course then moving into pop and folk and cutting edge rock and calypso. And after releasing 2 independent projects in the heydays of the beginning of the indie movement in the early 80s, Human Conflict No. 5 and the Sequence of the Beat Shape, the group was signed to Elektra Records starting in 1985 and released a series of wonderful projects, culminating with 1993's Unplugged. Now, the Unplugged session served as both a career retrospective and also as a kind of a swan song for Natalie, because it was shortly after they did the Unplugged session that she announced her intention to change direction, move on to a non-band situation. And tonight marks one of her first public appearances as a solo artist. Tonight, Natalie Merchant will learn the real definition of the term unplugged. I'm very happy to have her here tonight. Please welcome Natalie Merchant.
On my way down, and I wrote my set list inside it, and I lost the magazine, so I didn't know what I was planning to do.
mentioned. What's the matter? You don't want to follow that one, or what?
A while ago, I tried to become a member of a co-alpha buyers club, and I happened to come on the night that they were deciding to discuss whether the co-op was becoming too large or not. So the entire meeting was how annoying it was that there were so many new members. And I mean that same feeling, and to make amends, one of the members tried to offer to sell me a homemade flute, or maybe some soy kasha lasagna that he had made. It's totally vegan. And I felt so uncomfortable, and that's how I'm feeling right now. So when you said my name, I thought, oh,
Really?
yeah. I wish you would go to John.
John! Really? You feeling uncomfortable? Okay, all right. Well, we'll
Because my songs are also earnest. Songs are so amusing. I just feel like such a bummer.
But that's part of the fun of this, you know, is seeing those contrasts.
Your next song better be earnest.
Next song will be, for me, will be so earnestly a bummer. It's gonna be amazing, I promise.
We'll all be in tears, right? All right, I'm going to talk to John Cale then for a minute. Tell me about. John, I've always thought you should record that song. Okay. Okay, great. So,
Does this mean I'm forfeited my turn to do
but maybe an easier transition this time. Gordon was singing about American music, and I had mentioned that one of the primary influences on 10,000 Maniacs in the early days was reggae. You guys were really into reggae music, and is it true that you started out actually doing cover versions of reggae songs?
And actually, in the part of America where we grew up, people didn't know that we hadn't written that entire genre. That they're really interesting.
So you guys were taking credit for like Bob Marley and all that stuff,
He
huh?
didn't say.
Anything like arrogant?
That's deception.
Where did that interest in reggae come from?
We lived near a small college town where people smoked a lot of dope. And when I was about 15, I started going and hanging out with the college boys and listening to music. And that's how I got introduced to it, but the rest of the guys in the band have been here for a while. It was popular for college students in the 70s.
Yeah, well, that mid-70s period especially was when Marley, really kind of exploded here in the States.
We used to do meditations, meditations.
What kind of music was there in the Merchant family growing up?
Well, my parents married when they were teenagers, and they were in the 50s, so we had a whole stack of 50 singles, and then they came of age and started having kids in the early 60s, so they kept listening to pop music. And my mother started playing classical music when I was about 10, and then she married a jazz musician when I was 12.
And how about you? Were there interests that you pursued as a child in terms of music?
Well, I studied piano and voice when I was really young, but probably the oldest music that I listened to that I heard through the church. I was Roman Catholic. Probably Christmas carols were the oldest music. And my grandfather was from Sicily and he was a musician, but by the time I knew him, he was so old he didn't really play anything, he just sang and played harmonica. But he used to play guitar and violin.
Playing like a traditional Italian open? Smoking those farms? The nobility?
Drinking that horrible wine. But
Did he make it in the basement in the pub though? Yeah,
he
really?
made it on wine.
Did you write as a teenager before you started writing songs? Were you, I think I read somewhere maybe when we talked on my radio show about you keeping journals and diaries and things like that.
Yeah, I was a mopey, introverted teenager. Kept a lot of journals. But I actually, the first 4 or 5 last songs I wrote with 10,000 Maniacs were assignments for my freshman English class.
Really?
Did you pass?
I passed and very close.
Was that always part of the reason why you joined up with the guys? Was because you were a writer as well as a singer?
No, I was the most odd and cutest girl at the bar that would come and dance to bands. So that's why I got the job. We lived in a very, very small town, so you really stood out if you were a little unusual.
Yeah.
I was just a little unusual.
And it sort of made sense you would all gravitate together, I guess, in that small town environment.
We all worked. I went to college when I was 16. I went advanced placement, so I was considerably younger than the other members who were all going to night school because they'd already been to college. They were just taking night courses, and we all worked at the college radio station.
Did you do a show?
I went on a radio show. I was known for playing Joy Division songs over and over for hours. The same song, Heart and Soul. My favorite line was existence, so what does it matter?
Well, on that note, will you do something else for us now?
I get my turn?
Yes, please.
Don't reveal it, I'm tired, tired knowing where it ends, you're going. In your black smile, you like to live without more life. In your reckless eyes, it's never too late for a child to see some final breath now.
Here's a kind of a simplistic songwriter's question, Natalie. Which comes first? Yeah. Which comes first? Words or music? Yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of a simple and maybe even silly question, but is there one that prefers the other one?
Probably of course the music. But I'm actually open to that's something I'm actually trying now. Putting the music poetry.
Your poetry.
Hmm?
Do you work
Not to do
it?
with songs.
Do you work it at the piano? Is that how you-
Absolutely.
Was there a difference working with the band, writing songs for the band, than you find now writing songs for singers?
The method wasn't much different. Not in the actual writing, it was more the arrangement of the song.
Like, for instance, when you played These Are Days earlier, was that sort of how you wrote the song, or sort of how it eventually got recorded?
Well, that was a collaboration with Rob, the guitar player. That was sort of his playing the rhythm guitar, and I was a little bit faster. Normally, I just write at home. What I would do is the main is I'd write at home with the piano and bring cassettes and rehearsals to show them what I had.
And then the band would take it from there and bring their own expertise in terms of the arrangement.
It happened more organically than that. People would just walk into the room and start playing. Or else I would request that someone play something I had in mind. Usually the bass part I wrote. This is really boring, isn't it? This is the question I have for people who says that, the songwriting method is people really that interested in it.
Oh, so how's your sex life?
You told me, and I have witnesses, that you had not asked anything of that sort. I know Joan was extremely disappointed.
Yes, I said I wasn't going to bother being on this show.
I did ask. What are you going to do for us next?
Well, John and I, actually, if you're up for it now, we're going to do something together. I asked him, called him, 2 days ago? I just asked him to do radio with me. So we just worked it out yesterday.
What song?
Just
Unless you have something to say.
No, I like this kind of music.
my extra long enough, the black and white of their hair is vibrating. Let's get busy. The room was so
Natalie, where did Jezebel come from? The song?
Actually, I had my Song of the Fallen Woman. I read it on a throne in the Scarlet Letter, and Madame Bovary and my sister went through a horrible divorce. I was on the phone with her constantly. So, I decided to write the song Jezebel. See about just our whole attitude toward men and their responsibilities as wives. And actually, recitation of bounty is teaching that.
Trying to hide again.
No. Easier to write characters, easier to assume other identities, or to write those personal type confessional songs that I was talking to Joe about. Because a lot of your songs do assume other characters.
And I always felt that for myself that it would be too indulgent to write an album that was totally autobiographical in every song, and it had one pronoun, which was I. Never wanted to write a record like that. So what? But writing first-person narratives is really interesting. So I just would change my characters. She. And I would write from the perspective of an old man or a child or a woman with children.
Do you find that that frees you up?
Definitely. I'm not that interesting. I haven't had that much happen to me yet.
What? No, that's a good answer. Could you do something like that for us that assumes another character?
I transform. I consult my voice.
But I'm not the man.
I wrote this song after a week in the United States when 3 men were executed, which I found personally disturbing. I know that one of them attempted several times with appeals to convince people that he was innocent, but was not granted a stay of execution, and he was actually executed the day that I did the vocal.
It crawls on his back, and I let him be. Stays at the walls until Santa Claus can breathe. He flies upon the way, escaping over time. He lives a crowded nation inside his mind. He knows the night like his hand. He knows every moving page. They shift the bell that rings, the time card won't fade. 10:05 is 12 home. 10:05 we climb the stairs. About the time he was accused of being there. But I'm not the man. He goes free as I wait on the road for the man to taste the road, slip around my throat, and silence me. Oh, on the day we was tried, and the witness testified. Nothing but evidence not falsified. His own confession was the prosecutor's pride. Made up the feeling region of love like night. But I'm not the man. He goes free as the candle vigil glows, as they
I would have liked to have done it earlier. But
Natalie Merchant, somebody else's
I've
song.
got a show tune. Well, because my voice teacher taught me. Well, actually, the reason this song stands out is because it was like none other I ever learned when I was younger. This is what I grew up on, was garbage pop. Since I was a kid in the United States in the 60s and 70s. And,
Were you a Partridge Family watcher?
I was too.
Long and Happy. 11, again, Long and Happy.
Brady Bunch?
There's a story.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually the oldest, I think it's probably the oldest text of any memorized text that I know of. It's in Latin, a language I do not understand. But for some reason the song has stayed with me, because I learned it when I was about 13 and I can still sing it every time I'm in acoustically interesting places. I don't know if it'll work here. Works really well in cathedrals.
Odia Christus natus est, Odia Salvatora parui, Odia intera canunt angeli, Lantanturam congeli, Odia exultant justi, dicentes gloria, in excelsis Deo. Alleluia. Alleluia. Alleluia.
Natalie Merchant. I trust you know everybody, but just in case, it's Joan and Gordon and Natalie and John. There's a neat kind of symmetry to the careers of these four songwriters and performers. Around the same time that the Violent Femmes were getting started and happening out in the Midwest, Natalie Merchant was joining up with a group of musicians upstate New York in Jamestown, early 80s, to form the band 10,000 Maniacs. Natalie was 17 years old when she joined that group, and along with other members of the band, started writing what turned into a body of highly literate songs that came from a very eclectic mix of influences, starting off with reggae. 10,000 Maniacs, a lot of us don't know this, I didn't know it until tonight, started out as a reggae cover band. They actually fooled the people of Jamestown into thinking that they wrote a lot of Bob Marley's songs. They quickly
Difficult to do. Difficult people.
They quickly incorporated lots of other forms of music, pop, folk, very cutting-edge rock, calypso, and that sort of British folk tradition that Fairport Convention and others were involved in. And
Castro, Castro, electric boy, you're the Caribbean big killjoy. Your troubles now have just begun because you're not sitting right with Washington. You got all of this is my first song. Got all of the people dead as you're twisting round with the big black band. You jump out and twist, you can't stop. You go, you better stop. The something is again. Castro, Castro, electric boy, you're the Caribbean big killjoy. Your troubles now. I bought a record at the Salvation Army.
ladies and gentlemen, Natalie Merchant.
remember that race from the shower day. Just pray to see. I remember Lord and how they tried me. When patience has the hardest thing to be. Because we can make up for the time. May we fly our lives like these memories the little girl inside the world can wait for me. I should have known at your age in a single daisy early song. In that space of time that takes so long. Because we can make up for the time. May we fly our lives like these memories alive. The little girl inside the world can wait for me. If every time we say goodbye, you're frozen in my arms as a child. Thank you for memory. You never will be again. Every time we say goodbye, you're frozen in my mind as a child. That you never will be. Will be
That's it. You talk about using music as a way to get out of loneliness. I wonder, Natalie, if you can relate to that at all. You've described yourself on several occasions as being a sort of a loner, a poetic kid who kind of shied away from everybody. Did music have that same effect for you?
Well, I have to say that my brother caught me singing "You Fill Up My Senses" to the guinea pig in the garage. And I used to go, my sister had guinea pigs out in the garage. This is when I was 8 years old. That ain't lonely? That ain't lonely, too. I don't know what is. I was up there, petting you. And he caught me. And it's terrible. It's the most demoralizing experience. We have to write a song together now.
How many years did he hold that over your head?
I'm sure if you mentioned it, it's the event in today, he would remember it.
Yeah. John, in your household,
I just so gracefully passed over that.
you were John in your household.
I just so gracefully passed over that.
You were, as I mentioned, a prodigy. You were a young man playing the classical piano, so obviously there was
No guinea pigs there. Fine metaphor for the display of piano technique.
Well,
and behavior.
the big thing in Wales is
So let me ask Natalie, did you have anything similar to the Oak Park? Was it Oak Park?
Oak
Creek.
Oak Creek.
With
Okay. Did you have anything similar to the Oak
It was
Creek
interesting
Library?
because when he mentioned that, that was where I was first exposed to international music.
In the library.
Jamestown Public Library. Pardon me?
At the media center.
The media center, exactly. That's before they stitched all the vinyl and got CDs and collection.
When was that? What age were you?
Well, I couldn't afford records, so it could have been any time. The first 6 years I was in 10,000 Maniacs, probably. I remember the most interesting record I got was, which actually they had a lot of the Nonsuch catalog. And before I got signed to Elektra, actually when I got signed to Elektra, I compiled a list of all the Nonsuch records I've been coveting for years.
One of the perks.
A lot of field recordings from Senegal and Ghana.
Music from the Morning of the World, Ali, right? That was one of those great 60s.
Peruvian pipe music.
Did that stuff all find its way into your songwriting and stuff?
I don't know if it did. I'm sure it became a part of me, but I didn't have a lot of panpipes on the record. My favorite record was actually an album of torch songs from the 50s from Yugoslavia. Dajdi, Dajdi, oh, Dajdi. And all these strings going, and my mother going, swearing this guitar.
I want to copy. Yeah, Natalie, will you do something else for us? Maybe tell us.
Something that I'll tell you another amusing anecdote.
Your turn.
Next.
I want the bridge to Dajdi. Don't talk. Don't talk. I will listen. Don't talk. You keep your distance. I'd rather hear someone choose you, my friend. Entertain your heart. Take your voice and silence. Let me be. Let me close my eyes. Don't talk. I'll be leaving. Don't talk. Listen to me instead. I know that if you think I'm faithful long enough and hard, it's the drink you drown your troubles in bed. It's